The Umayyad Caliphate ruled for 90 years, and for most of those 90 years, people hated them. Revolts broke out, heroes rose up, and every single one of them failed. So, what changed? What did the Abbasids do differently that nobody before them could figure out? That's exactly what we are going to break down today. Let's set the scene first. The Umayyads took power after the rightly guided caliphate, and their rule was brutal. It was autocratic, it was built on Arab tribal privilege, and it left huge groups of people completely shut out of power. So naturally, people pushed back. Husain ibn Ali stood up at Karbala. He was massacred. Abdullah ibn Zubair built a rival caliphate. He was crushed. Mukhtar al-Saqafi launched an uprising in Iraq, also crushed. These were not small protests, these were serious, motivated, passionate revolts. But they all collapsed. So, motivation clearly wasn't the problem, something else was missing. The first thing the Abbasids got right was where they started their revolution. Every previous uprising happened in Iraq, in the heart of Umayyad territory, right in the backyard of Syrian army. So the moment a revolt broke out, the Umayyad forces were already on the doorstep. They could respond fast, and they did. The Abbasids went east instead, deep into Khorasan, a remote frontier province far from Damascus. This was a genius move. Out there, the central government's grip was weak. Arab settlers and the local Persian populations had been living side by side for decades. They shared the same frustrations. They paid the same unfair taxes. They had the same grievances against a distant, disconnected ruler. So the Abbasids did not just find a hiding spot, they found a ready made army. Now, here is where the Abbasids really separated themselves. They did not rush. They spent decades building underground. While previous revolts were emotional and spontaneous, the Abbasids built something they called the Hashimiyya. It was a secret network, a state within a state. Recruiters traveled across the empire. Members were organized in cells. Everything was disciplined and coordinated. By the time Abu Muslim raised the black banners of revolt in 747 AD, it wasn't a rebellion. It was a calculated military operation. The Abbasids had a professional army. They had supply lines. They had leadership structures. Previous rebels had passion. The Abbasids had an institution. But an army alone is not enough. You also need the support of common people. And this is where the Abbasids were absolutely brilliant. Their campaign slogan was ar-Rida min ale Muhammad, the chosen one from the family of the Prophet. Notice what they did not say. They did not name a specific leader. They kept it deliberately vague. This was intentional because different groups wanted different things. Shia Muslims wanted a leader from the house of Ali. Persian converts wanted social equality, while pious scholars simply wanted an end to Umayyad corruption. Tribal Arabs wanted political relevance. The Abbasids told everyone that we are your answer. By the time supporters realized the Abbasids were claiming the throne for themselves, it was already too late. The Umayyads were already finished. And then there was one final ingredient, and it has to do with luck, timing. Previous rebels faced strong caliphs. Abdul Malik and Yazid were powerful. They were organized and they had united armies. When Mukhtar Thaqafi rose up, Abdul Malik had the resources to destroy him. Similar was the case with Husain ibn Ali and Abdullah ibn Zubair. On the other hand, the Abbasids faced Marwan II, and Marwan II was a weak caliph. The empire was tearing itself apart from within. Arab tribes were fighting each other in what historians called the Third Fitna, the Third Civil War. The Qais and Yaman factions were fighting each other. The Syrian army, the backbone of the Umayyad power, was fractured and exhausted. Abu Muslim saw the cracks and he hit them at exactly the right moment. So let's bring it all together. Husain ibn Ali had righteousness. Abdullah ibn Zubair had legitimacy. Mukhtar al-Saqafi had fury. But none of them had the full package. The Abbasids had geography, they had patience, they had smart propaganda, and they had perfect timing. The lesson here is very interesting. Oppressive systems do not fall just because they deserve to fall. They fall when the opposition is more strategic than the regime. No matter how righteous the cause is, you still need a plan. You need to know your ground, you need to know your people, and you need to know when to strike. The Abbasids knew all three.